Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, and live the life we love. Occasionally you gotta labor, definitely loaf every now and then, and use your loofah to keep your skin nice and shiny. All right, it's PowerPoint Day. This one's called Can't We See What's in Our Own Tradition? If we're going to say L'chaim, to life, then you have to understand what are the gifts that you've been given by the tradition, even though sometimes structure supports the hierarchy and tries to create a monolithic control over the individual. But in general, can't you see what's in our own tradition, the Western tradition, the tradition where the individual is really important? What about that? All right, so here we go. Oh, one of my favorite things from Saturday Night Live. Stuart Smalley telling Michael Jordan to look in the mirror and say, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and God darn it, people like me. He had to crack up. If you haven't seen that, it's worth going to take a look at that again. So this is what I call we need appropriate idealizing transfers. Who is the model that evokes from you some resonance in your psyche, that opens your heart, doesn't insult your intelligence, and puts you on fire with the passion for your life? So I look to myth for guidance. Totally true, totally false on the outside, completely true on the inside. Myth is not about something that happened in the past. Myth is about something that's always happening right here and now. Doesn't matter what figure you choose, as long as it's the one that plugs you in and connects you. So Athena, goddess of wisdom, also goddess of war. Interesting combination in the Greek tradition with her owl as her totem animal. So where do you look for guidance? Now in the Western tradition, healing comes from an encounter with the numinous, as apparently Moses did when he came across the burning bush and it told him, hey, you're on holy ground, move your shoes over, take your shoes off. What is this numinous magical power? Everybody knows that it is, but what it is, nobody knows. So just like in Matrix, nothing is more fundamentally defined than what's reality and what's the one that keeps you away from understanding reality. You want to go back to same old, close your eyes, be asleep. But remember, you're subject to more suffering in the sleepy state. So you take the one that will keep your eyes open. So what is sacred? How do you establish sacred space? Marcia Iliade, the former head of the South Asian East Studies Department, University of Chicago, claimed that one of the most important senses of the hierophany, which is an appearance of the holy, was an antophany, which is the same thing as an appearance of being, capital B. And the location of the hierophany becomes the axis mundi, the celestial connection between the two worlds. And that's why the villagers would always build the axis mundi, giving outer form, giving outer order to the village. So the hierophany establishes a center and interrupts chronic depression because the center brings you back to the new, to the beginning, to the origins, where creativity exists. Now the next thing is really important to get out of your head. You know, in the ancient traditions, you're suspect if you can't go into trance. In our tradition, if you go into trance, they think there's something wrong with you and they medicate you. They don't want you to be out of your mind, because you're going to see if you get out of your mind instead of be controlled if you're in your mind. Now, sacred space also has to do with the vortex of energy, the receptive energy, where you find the power to live. Like in Machu Picchu, one of the few places where, as far as I'm concerned, it looks better in person than on a postcard. It gives you the power to face what you have to face every day. And if you haven't found that, that's why like you're flopping around in the breeze, disconnected, a loose cannon, or a lost soul. Now finding the center is what creates cosmos. The world prior to the heroic struggle is not safe because monsters of all kinds are roaming the realm, especially if the king and queen are asleep in the throne room. So there are so many tales of how human beings master the chaotic world and define safe space, sacred space, cosmos, just order. The struggle of life is one of our greatest blessings. It makes us patient, sensitive, and godlike. It teaches us that although the world is full of suffering, it's also full of the overcoming of it. Helen Keller. Wow, people like that can say that, we have a lot to be thankful for. But to be creative in difficult times and to be in that struggle with the hardness of ourselves in the world, that's the task we're all invited to step into. Any volunteers? Now, each step in our life can be seen as an initiatory function, right? That takes character, makes your character, tests your character, taxes your character, and hopefully it moves you ahead to a greater spiritual connection. Anything you learn is an initiation into that. So relook at all those things that you're going through, and maybe you'll find entries into sacred space that way. Now, each person is here with a purpose, an inclination of the soul to go that way, a leaning, a gradient. And once you find that meaning, society doesn't rescue anymore. You stop looking outside yourself for answers. Sometimes support too, but mostly, I see the way I'm bent. I see the way I'm leaning, and I'm going to go that way. And that means you've accepted the fact that you're probably pregnant with something about to come to birth. We're all carrying the Spirit in a certain way. There's a part of us that's all like the Virgin Mary. You've been impregnated by the Holy Spirit. We don't really need sperm and egg to come together to give birth to something, do we? We're talking about creativity here now, right? So I would say don't forget, as we all age, don't set apart old age and violate the continuity and the integrity of the full life cycle. Love your grandparents, love your parents, love all older people. If they're around for 65, 70 years or more, boy, they've seen a lot. They've been through a lot. If you live long enough, you will too. So respect them, honor them. Don't break the cycle. And finally, yes, you can connect with other people's joy, but it's much easier to connect with other people's brokenness. Our heart is like a tuning fork that helps us bring each other to the center, where we find unity, harmony, love, and compassion. Have a fantastic day. Look forward to seeing you on June 26th, where our next Good Vibrations class called Yoga, the Magnificent Obsession will be happening. I hope to see you there. Have a great day.